How's it going, guys? Today we're here to talk San Antonio Spurs basketball. So as you know, LaMarcus Aldridge has signed a 4-year, $80 million deal to join Tim Duncan, Greg Popovich, and the Spurs. Yesterday, July 6th, they also brought in David West on a veteran's minimum contract, costing him $11 million from his player option.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it for David West?
I think absolutely. He doesn't need the money, and I mean, he's very unselfish, and I like that about these players, that instead of trying to go for the money and making as much money as they can, he's concerned about winning. He wants to win. $1.5 million is still a lot of money, and I don't think he lives extravagantly with, 5 houses and, a dozen cars.
Plus, he's already had 2 nice contracts.
Absolutely, with the Pacers.
Yep, with the Pacers. He also had a nice one with the former Hornets, now Pelicans.
Yes.
So I think he's doing all right for himself.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the Spurs roster. It's definitely a different approach for them. They're used to building through the draft.
Right.
So let's talk what's left on the Spurs roster. Let's talk maybe going forward, and then let's talk a little bit how they match up with other contenders.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go.
Right. So at point guard, they have currently with Tony Parker,
Yeah.
Patty Mills,
Yes.
with Corey Joseph signing with the Raptors 4 years, $30 million. Now at shooting guard, they have Danny Green. And that's about it.
A big thing to bring back, though. I
think. Big. I think that was a big deal. They got him back at around $11 million per year.
Yeah.
That was a big discount, as we talked about in our free agency video. If you haven't seen that, check that out. At small forward, they got Kawhi Leonard, obviously top 20 player in the league.
I'd say better.
Maybe
than that,
even better. Okay. Well,
I think a lot of his stuff is underrated too, because they don't play him a lot of minutes.
That's right. That's what I was gonna get into. I was talking to a couple people actually, funny, the other night. They were saying how Kawhi may average 20 points. I was like, there's no way anyone can average 20 points.
Yeah.
Pop wouldn't let them.
Right.
He's not gonna play anyone over 30 minutes, so that'll keep them going.
Yeah.
Also, to keep us going on track here, they also have Kyle Anderson, their first round pick from last year, at small forward.
I like Kyle Anderson a lot. I think he fits what they do well as
I think
a guy who's unselfish and willing to pass the ball and get open shots for other guys.
I think he's similar to Boris Diaw, one of their bigs, along with Tim Duncan. They got LaMarcus Aldridge, and they've got David West now.
Matt Bonner's still on the team.
Matt Bonner's he's a free agent as of right now.
Oh, that is true.
But I mean, I wouldn't mind. I think they should bring him back for the minimum.
Yeah.
So let's talk maybe real quick about a couple guys they could be bringing in.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they could bring in a Rasul Butler.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about a couple of other shooting guards.
Right. A low wage rotational player that's going to give you some points off the bench and going to keep you scoring and just do the things that need to be done for the bench players.
Right.
Someone who's not going to have a big impact or be a big name, but they're going to do the things that are crucial to coming out in close games and winning.
Right. So some of those guys, a couple of those guys we were thinking were Randy Foye, someone who could kind of come in, a little undersized, but replace Marco Bellinelli, and Allen Anderson, who I think would actually be a perfect fit because he's bigger,
right,
and he can shoot it almost as well as Bellinelli, not quite as much, but he's a better defender than Bellinelli. So I think he'd be a great fit to come in there on a cheap contract around the veterans minimum. And then we'll see. Maybe they pick up a couple of undrafted guys.
Right, I agree.
So how do you think they fit against these contenders?
First let's talk about the Golden State Warriors, of course.
Right.
Who will be the team to beat next year. I think they match up fairly well. I think it's going to be tough. It's really could go either way with these two teams. Golden State maybe has more depth than San Antonio does right now.
Right.
And they have probably more proven guys who can play together. LaMarcus and David West, they're going to have to get used to playing with each other.
And
how
the Spurs
minutes
basketball.
Gonna work. Right, of course. So I think that will be a little interesting. But I think come playoff time, and, of course, the expectation is Western Conference Finals are going to be Spurs-Warriors.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. We'll see if they're gelling. I think that they match up well enough against the Warriors that they'll definitely be their biggest threat.
Yeah, I think that defensively, if Tony Parker can stay healthy, that would be a good help for them on Stephen Curry. I know he's not a great defender, and Patty Mills is a better defender, but I think him staying healthy will help Patty Mills be more effective. And
right.
I think that's a change.
They won't have to rely on Patty Mills.
Yeah, and I think I think they're actually. I would take them over the Warriors because I think the Warriors can't play small ball against them. No. Aldridge and Duncan will destroy. If they went to that small ball 5 with Draymond Green at the 5, they would be in a ton of trouble.
And the thing about West and Aldridge is that they're more athletic than most 4s or 5s are.
Yeah.
In the league
so
right now.
The other challenger in the West would be the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yes.
Who I think match up actually really well with each other. Them and the Spurs. Because I think they got like similar type rosters. That's what I was trying to say. They both try to play 2 bigs. But their bigs can also stretch the floor. Baca can stretch the floor. Aldridge, Duncan even a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think they're a little similar. And now to LeBron James. I mean, it's not official yet, but LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavs. We all know he's going back.
He'll come back, yeah.
So how do you think those 2 teams match up?
I think it's pretty clear who has the edge. I think the Spurs have a clear edge against LeBron. They just have so many more weapons still, I think. If Kevin Love is efficient and Kyrie can stay healthy, it'll be closer, but I still think that the Spurs just have LeBron's number. They just Greg Popovich is consistently able to outcoach LeBron, basically.
Well, I wouldn't say that so much. I would say that the Spurs rosters have been better than LeBron's rosters.
Right, the Cavs and the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, the first time when it was the Cavs against the Spurs, his team was severely outmatched.
I agree with that, but I think the last time was a little closer. Maybe even at the time you thought the edge might be to Miami.
I mean, after that finals,
when you think about that finals, Patty Mills came up huge, Bellinelli came up huge. Boris Diaw, of course, had a couple spectacular
that's
games.
what I'm trying to say. Their whole team played well. That wasn't even close. They all came in buzzing. They would be up by 15 points at halftime. It wasn't even close. Those
I think that's more about, but I think that's more about.
Dwayne Wade wasn't playing really.
That is
he was hurt. Bosh wasn't really healthy.
I think it's more about Greg Popovich, though, putting those guys in the position to play well and to make the right passes than it is because Boris Diaw's not a top 50 player. I mean, maybe top 50, but he's not a great player.
But if you have enough of those guys, I think that makes a huge difference compared to one guy with a bunch of guys who are worse than the Boris Diaws of the world. So I think at the end of the day that if you have talent, a group of talent beats one talent, as we've seen against LeBron James the past 2 finals. So now that we've talked about the Spurs a lot, do you think the Spurs are the favorite going into next season?
I don't think they're the favorite, only because you still have the Warriors who are coming off a historic season. I think the Warriors will be favorites, but I think the Spurs will obviously be the second favorite, and I think they'll be closer to the Warriors than people might think. Right.
I was saying the other day, I think actually people are going to favor the Spurs over the Warriors.
Okay, I don't think you can do that just yet. I think it's too early to do that.
No, I agree with you. I think the Warriors are better than the Spurs, but I think people are going to put the Spurs ahead of the Warriors.
Because they've had the flashier offseason so far.
Well, that and they've had a longer, consistent stretch. I've never seen a team win 67 games and be more disrespected than the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I think for a team coming off a title, they may be one of the hungrier teams ever.
Yeah.
But, all right, that's a wrap from us talking about the Spurs, and obviously we got into a few other teams like LeBron and the Warriors, but we just want you to continue to give us some feedback, subscribe to our channel, and we want to know what you want to hear, so let us know.